Congratulations on choosing to study biology. Biology is the study of life, and in this video I'm going to consider what exactly life is, why it matters, and how we can define it. Now, some of you may remember back to the beginning of secondary school and meeting Mrs Gren. Well, in this video, the role of Mrs Gren is going to be played by Mrs Doubtfire, who in turn will be played by Robin Williams. So, Mrs Gren tells us that there are 7 characteristics of life, and that the first of these is movement. Organisms move in order to spread their genes from one area to another. Not like that. Goodness. Respiration is the chemical process that releases energy. It usually involves oxygen, but anaerobic respiration can occur if oxygen isn't available. A memorable example of this happened when Mrs Gren, played by Mrs Doubtfire, who in turn was being played by Robin Williams, saved James Bond, played by Pierce Brosnan, from choking and dying due to a lack of oxygen. Sensitivity refers to an organism's ability to detect and respond to changes in the environment, like this star-nosed mole that has a really sensitive face. I wonder how much it would hurt them to get punched there. Anyway, it feels its way around the world as it lives underground, where I'm told it's dark, so it's difficult to see. The G in Mrs Gren tells us all living things grow, and they do this by mitosis. Mrs Gren also tells us that living things reproduce. Just look at all those sperm. Excretion is the removal of waste products of metabolism from the body, and you can see some examples of these here: carbon dioxide, sweat, and urea. Finally, Mrs Gren tells us that the ability to obtain nutrition is a hallmark of life. Now, why not take this opportunity to pause the video and chant movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition, and why not do that a few times? I hope you had fun chanting and can now remember what Mrs Gren means, but just like Mrs Doubtfire, who, if you remember, was played by Robin Williams, Mrs Gren isn't perfect. She doesn't have control, which is otherwise known as homeostasis. So, I hope you found this useful, and don't forget to live the dream.